Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we are taking a look back at the Tier 8 Premium German cruiser, the Mainz. Now, the Mainz is, well, when she was released, she was received very well by the community. She was proclaimed to be one of the best, if not the best, Tier 8 premium ship, and that's a sentiment I very much agreed with when she was released. Now, that was quite some time ago. I think she's approaching her 2-year mark in World of Warships, which is very weird because I still think of the Mainz as a fairly new cruiser, but man, time does have that funny effect of flying sometimes, now doesn't she? Now, in today's World of Warships, there's been a whole host of mechanics changes and new ships being introduced into the game and reworks galore. So how is she doing in today's World of Warships? And that is something we're going to look at today at what, again, when she was released, was considered to be one of the best Tier 8 premiums in the game. So you might be wondering, what is the Mainz? Well, the Mainz is this weird mix of heavy and light cruiser. If you look at the hull, you might recognize it because it is a hipper hull. It is yet another ship that has a hipper hull in this game. Now, the armor isn't exactly the same. It's lighter in some areas. If you do take a look at it up as I throw it up on screen right here, she has a much thinner armor scheme, but it is still, again, the scheme of the hipper. She has a 25mm bow. She does have a 40mm strip there. And then if you go to her main armor belt, she has a 25mm upper belt. Her torpedo bulges are also 25, but underneath that you have this 80mm armor belt going around back. She has a partial icebreaker stern, as she has a 70mm strip over her stern armor, but it does not come all the way around. And then her stern is 25, stern deck is 25, and then her main deck is 27mm. And her citadel is above the waterline. But it is a turtleback design. Again, it's only 80mm though, so it's not like you're going to be tanking battleship shells, but it is just above the water. And if you want to compare that armor scheme to something like, well, the Hipper or the Prince of Eugen, the Prince of Eugen has a 27mm bow. She has that same 40mm strip, but it doesn't wrap all the way around, and her side armor is 27 instead of 25. So you guys can see they kind of just shaved off some of the armor of the Hipper and of the Eugen if you look at either of those two ships. But she did gain that full icebreaker bow, which I think is kind of odd. But hey, look, you know, we got to take what we can, you know. But yes, yeah, so a few millimeters here and there. Nothing too major when it comes to being shot by large caliber guns. But of course, when you come up against, you know, some lighter armored ships, those few millimeters can make a difference here and there. So slightly thinner armor there from the Hipper. Now, the survivability of the Mainz, she has 46,100 hit points and 22% torpedo damage reduction. And her guns are the biggest difference between her and the Hipper. So she has 12 of these 150mm guns that with the build that I'm running on it, which I'll throw up again here. Now, I am running Lucians on this ship, and I didn't feel like paying either the XP or the dubs to respec Lucians to move the AP skill over, because the Mainz cannot make use of that because she has 150mm guns and not 190. So of course you could go and throw those points somewhere else on a much more useful skill when you're building into the Mainz. If you want to see what I normally run on it, well, actually, you know, you can't go check out that video because that video, my original Mainz review, was before the Commander rework. Oh boy. But just what you would normally run on a light cruiser is probably what you would throw on the Mainz here anyway. But anyway, back to the guns. So you have a 6-second reload on 150mm guns, and again, I am running Lucians on the Mainz. So when I get 140 main battery shell hits, I get that nice boost to my reload time, which you will have no problem hitting that mark with the Mainz here, because again, 12 guns every 6 seconds. The turrets have a 180 time of 19.7 seconds, maximum dispersion of 143 meters, and a maximum range of 17.5 kilometers. And the 150mm guns do a maximum damage of 1700. They have a 10% chance of causing a fire on the target, and since these are German shells, they get the special German pin rate, which means that these guns can pin 38mm of armor. And the HE comes up the tubes at 960 meters a second. The AP is no slouch either. It does 3,900 maximum damage, and those shells come out the tubes at 960 meters a second as well. So the Mainz has a very, very nice set of guns on her. And if you're looking at the footage in the background too, the shell arcs are also really flat. And again, 960 meters a second initial velocity, which means that this is a very, very comfortable ship to shoot, especially when you're having to shoot at DDs from anywhere from like 12 kilometers in, unless it's something like super maneuverable, like a Soviet DD, a French DD, something like that. You're not going to have any problem nailing that DD with these guns. The guns on this ship are fantastic. And again, they pin 38 millimeters without IFHE, so you don't have to spec into IFHE to get that good consistent pin when you're facing, anything, because 32 millimeters is the last major armor threshold in the game. So when you get up tier to tier 8, it's a very good chance that you can pin most of what you're seeing on the enemy team, and still get that 10% fire chance in there as well. So that means the Mainz is a very comfortable cruiser to play. It's not like the American light cruisers where you have to deal with the horrid shell flight times or the insane arcs. Now, when you are hugging islands, this can get in the way because, you don't have the catapults to the American cruisers, but you can always back up a little bit and get your shells just over that island just a little bit. You might be trimming some treetops when you're having to do that, again, depending upon what island we're talking about, but a very comfortable ship to play indeed. You also have 17.4 kilometer base range, which is amazing for a tier 8 light cruiser. Which again means when you get double up tier, you don't really worry about it too much, because it's not like some of the other tier 8 cruisers that are stuck with 13, 14, 15 kilometer range. You have 17 kilometers of range on this cruiser, so that is fantastic right there. The guns are great. I can't sing their praises enough. And when you are dealing with other cruisers, definitely switch over to AP, make use of that, and just absolutely delete their sides. In the gameplay you're watching here, toward the end, I forgot about that, and I don't think it would have changed the outcome either way. It's a very close game that you're watching. It wasn't a super high damage game, but I figure you guys would rather watch a close match rather than a complete blowout match where I just farm, like a Bismarck or a GK for 120k or whatever, But anyway, going on down, she does get torpedoes. She gets a standard German torpedoes. You get 4x4 533s, and they're the 6 kilometer German torps that are pretty standard on the German ships. 13,700 maximum damage, 64 knots, 1.3 kilometer detect. So again, the standard German torpedoes there, and you do get 2 sets per side for 16 in total. So that's nice for self-defense if you're ever having to get up close to another cruiser, or if a battleship tries to bum rush you, you've got that Uno reverse card up your sleeve there. Alright, going on from the torpedoes, she does have depth charges. She doesn't have the airstrike, which is the preferable method of dropping depth charges on submarines. This is something that, unfortunately, she didn't get to pick up when submarines were added into the game, so you do have to sell over subs if you want to do anything to them, which is not ideal, obviously. But, I mean, when the opportunity does arrive, of course, this does hurt the submarines a lot more than the airdrop depth charges. AA, she has an A rating of 79. Actually, pretty good AA. You can build into it if you want to. I wouldn't recommend it because, of course, you're not guaranteed to get a CV match every game. But if you really don't like CVs, you can build into it. And she is a pretty darn good AA boat. But with just the base AA, most tier 8 CVs will try to avoid you if possible, but of course tier 10 CVs, and of course CVs in general, depends on how good the CV player is at dodging flak. But if you're wondering, you get 48 20mm AA guns, then you get 36 of the 37mm AA guns, and then you get the 12 105 secondaries that are dual purpose. Maneuverability, she goes 33.6 knots with a speed flag, so not a super fast cruiser. She has a turning circle radius of 720 meters and a rotor shift time of 10.5 seconds. And her concealment with the commander skill is 12 kilometers, and with the module too, I do believe, yes, commander skill and the module, you can get that down to 12 kilometers, which is fairly stealthy for a tier 8 cruiser. I would say stealthy in general, but like, we're having battleships now at tier 10 that have like 12.1, 11.3 kilometer concealment because gimmick. But yeah, for her consumables, she gets fighter. You cannot mount a spotter, unfortunately. Again, you already have a 17-kilometer base range on your guns. Having a spotter to push that a little bit further would be a little bit much. You can't pick between a hydroacoustic search or a DFAA. It depends if you're having a bad day with torpedoes or if you're having a bad day with CVs. I pick the Hydro and take Hydro into battle much more often because, again, your AA is pretty decent enough to where CVs already will kind of leave you alone. But granted, if a CV does decide that they want you as their food for the day, DFAA wouldn't hurt either. But Hydro has much more utility. It's, again, if you have to deal with like DDs, it's much better for that. You can push the DDs in smoke, pop that Hydro, and then gun them down with your 12 150mm guns. And it is the standard German Hydro, 6 kilometer range Hydro that is active for 120 seconds and reloads in 114 seconds. Alright, so put that all together, that is the Mainz. So how does she do in today's World of Warships? Well, despite all the changes that she's been through, the commander rework, the economy rework, and submarines and such, this is still definitely one of the best tier 8 premium cruisers. I'd say right up there with Atago, definitely dealing with Atago for the #1 spot. The thing is, with those 1250mm guns, with German HE, with the fire rate that you have on the ship, and again, if you have Lucians, definitely put him on this ship because it is so easy to pop that 140 main battery hit talent and then get that, I think it's a 10% boost to your reload time. And then you're even getting more DACA downrange there. To that point, it is a 7.5% boost to your main battery reload time. So yeah, definitely. I mean, again, there's probably not many matches in the Mainz where you don't get that many hits on target. The Mainz is a source of good, consistent damage. Doesn't really matter what tier it's at. It's got the ability to pin 32. It can pin up to 38 without IFHE. It's excellent for dealing with DDs that get within 12 kilometers. Again, it's so easy to gun down DDs in this ship. It's great for farming down higher level battleships. The HE, again, you're going to be murdering other cruisers with that because, again, the pin's so good, the fire rate's so good. The AP is also good too if they decide to really get close and get in your face. And you also have the torpedoes too if you need to deal with that. The armor too, it's actually thick enough to where if you are steeply angled enough, I mean obviously if something with big enough guns shoots you, they're going to overmatch your armor, but if you stay angled, definitely gets other cruisers and then some smaller caliber battleships that you can see, it's going to have no problem bouncing that those shells. But again, it's not like you can stay still and tank for days. This is definitely a ship that you should be using your throttle, playing with your throttle juking, just going 1/4 speed for 10 seconds, cranking it up to half, then throwing it in reverse for 10-20 seconds just to throw off those shots. And she's great for that too if you build into it, which I did back when I got her the first time and haven't changed my module build on this ship at all since then because it works very well for that. It's a great cruiser to stick on a flank that the enemy team has to be forced into to push into because you're going to melt them down so easily with this ship. She's a great ship for that, great ship for kiting. Pushing too, she can do it if the situation is right. Again, she does have that, that 40mm bow strip, and again, it does have better armor than most light cruisers, of course, too, but it's not a tank by any stretch of the imagination. But there's the level of DPM the Mainz can consistently bring to the table along with her consistent HE pins is just amazing, and again, one of the absolute best tier 8 cruisers, and one that again I would definitely recommend you guys pick up even if you're not necessarily a cruiser player. This is an excellent cruiser to get, especially if, like, let's say you're a heavy cruiser guy and light cruisers really aren't your thing. It's a nice middle of the road type of ship because it's got a lot of elements of heavy cruisers, the armor and the maneuverability of a heavy cruiser, but it's got the guns of a light cruiser. You can get used to using those guns, and then these are again some very, very, very comfortable guns to shoot with, and I really can't praise this ship enough. She's held up tremendously well since she was introduced all that time ago, and she still does very well in today's World of Warships. But anyway, guys, it's my 2 cents on the Mainz. Let me know what you guys think about her in the comments down below. If you've got one, if you're thinking about picking her up, just let me know your thoughts. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Thursday. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 40,000 subs, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Good, hope you guys have a wonderful Thursday. Have a wonderful week. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.